Hey, it's Christian Buckley with another MVP Buzz Chat, and I'm here today with Jeff. Hey, Jeff.
Hey, Christian. Thanks for having me, buddy. Good
It's
to
great.
see you again.
It's been great having you out. I think I've been harassing you about this for well over a year.
You know, you've had a lot of iterations of this thing that we're doing, and it's sort of, I'm always like, wait, we've done this, but there's always new stuff to talk about.
That's true. That was a long time ago, Jeff. That other interview, for those that are wondering, that was the Digital Sack Lunch series back that I started when I was with Exceller. That was back in like 2014, I think, when I interviewed, maybe 2013. I think
Wow.
2013. So it's been a while. It's time for a refresh. For people that don't know the Jay Willie, why don't you introduce yourself, Jeff?
Legend in my own mind.
Of course.
Dillinger, gosh, I'm currently with CloudScale, and Christian, I think I might have mentioned that to you.
It's a weight loss organization, correct?
It is a weight loss organization. That's awesome. One of my friends I was talking about a construction company that I'm doing work with, and she said to me, do they construct websites? And I'm like, you know what? All those website companies, they're called like Willinger Digital, Buckley Digital, not Buckley Construction. If it's Buckley Construction, you're not going to be thinking that Christian Buckley is building websites. You're going to be thinking maybe he could put an addition on my house.
Yeah, I have to say though, so I've got a son who is a real estate agent and works for a real estate investment company here in the Salt Lake area. And so because he has a bunch of the tech chops and has done technical support and was an Office 365 support guy for a while at one of his companies. And he's now doing a bunch of stuff around tech and investment and really looking at what's happening in that space. Because in real estate, I mean, there's actually some really cool technology, especially in the AR, VR realm, that's being utilized and built out, like IP that's being built by a lot of these companies.
Not only is that cool, it's like the future, and the future is finally coming here. We've been talking about it for years, but when I hear stories like that, it just makes me believe, hey, it's here.
Well, it was the first thing I thought of. What was it? Build 2018, I think, where they showed those two supply chain kind of operational manufacturing type uses for augmented reality, where you could, one of the examples was like in a warehouse, a guy has this huge piece of machinery, multiple tons, and he was able to use the schematics and the layout of the floor and figure out not only where to place this piece of machinery on the floor, but whether he would be able to move it with a forklift down certain aisles and turn it to get it in place in that location, and was able to walk in real time with the VR headset, but looking at it in this augmented, so looking at the real world and this object, this three-dimensional holographic object, and then place it there and say, hey, this is the right path. Here's the right destination for that. And my first thought was real estate, was visual designers, interior designers, construction companies that be able to go in there. No longer it's like, here, look at my computer screen of what your interior will look like, but put on the headset and walk through what your house will look like. That's pretty amazing. And we're here. I mean, it's happening. Companies are building that. It's really expensive right now, but those costs are going to come down.
Agree.
So what are you often talking about? What are kind of your topics that you're presenting on?
So I'm the big three, and I'll start with probably the lowest on my totem pole. The lowest would probably be actually looking at your T-shirt there, Stream, right? As soon as I saw iStream, Ustream, I didn't even look at the bottom of it. I knew it was a Microsoft production.
Yeah. I guess I should stand and let the world see the rest of it. So yeah, this is for the Stream team was giving these away. I can't remember where I got this. Was it at Build or Inspire, or I don't remember. Maybe it was a SharePoint conference where they had a bunch of the Stream folks there. But anyway.
Yeah. So the future is video, right? I mean, people would much rather. I mean, they might want to listen to us, but they also might want to see your handsome face, and they might want to see what we're up to. People like video. They like those, everything from those 30-second clips to, perhaps 20 minutes or so listening to us rant and rave. So I would say, well, I've been talking a lot about video and really creating the digital workspace using video and the various use cases for it, because there are so many right now, whether it's, the future of chatbots is actually going to be video as well. I know you're like, what? Companies are just starting to use chatbots, here and there and figuring out how to use them. But the use of video, especially from a C-level perspective, having, whether it's your CEO, COO, chief digital officer, whoever it is, doing these nice little snippets and easily digestible for the employees. I'm talking about internal communications now.
But so I use an example frequently. So when I started working for Pacific Bell, many beginning of my career, 25 plus years ago, I was taking over for somebody who was retiring, and I was literally handed this giant. If everybody remembers, the older folks in the audience, being handed that 3-ring giant binder. And
I used to think those in the Jeff 1.0 area.
That was, me too. I started my career.
We used to manufacture those. I had a company called Graphic Packaging for real.
Oh, nice. Unfortunately, I was like the one building, writing the content for these things. But anyway, so I get handed this binder, and so it's my first week, and I'm trying to learn, and I'm just like I've got questions. I'm going to this guy who's clearly checked out. His Friday lunch is he's retiring, like he bought his house in Palo Alto in the 70s, a little cottage, like 800 square feet, bought it for like $30,000 and was selling it for over $1 million. So he was doing okay. But anyway, so I would go with these questions. It'd be like, it's in the binder. And I'd go back through the binder and I'm wasting another 45 minutes, an hour. I don't know. I go back to him. And then he walks through. He's like, look at this page, this flow chart. And then he starts explaining it. And I'm writing notes all over the place on the page. I'm like, you left out so much that I missed in this little diagram, this flow chart of this process. And now we have the ability with video to go in and capture those kinds of things. I remember thinking, as I'm talking to him, listening to him, thinking, man, I just wish I had a camera here to capture all this. I'm going to forget. I'm not going to be able to keep up with and capture everything that you're describing here. But that's the power of video. The difficulty is unlocking the knowledge that's within that. And I don't know, maybe you could talk, like, what are you talking about? What are some of the scenarios? How do you get that out with Stream?
Finding the right content, right? Finding where, again, so I like the analogy of the 3-ring binder, because guess what the best 3-ring binders have, Christian? They've index tabs. So it's all divided, right? The best binders have that. I used to make a lot of money. That was my biggest profit margin, was on index tabs. Cost me very little, and it brought a lot of value to the customer. Well, guess what? Videos are now indexed. So if a CEO is talking about, let's spin it positive, not layoffs, a hiring, expansion plans, right? And all you really care about is listening to that portion of it. You could search on that now and find it easily. So the videos are being indexed and it's easily searchable. That's the future. That's where it gets really powerful.
Well, you think that, like Gartner said, by the end of 2020, that over 80% of corporate networks would be video-based content.
Yeah. So I see the progressive organizations, obviously using modern, the modern sites and all, but also incorporating video into their day-to-day, not just a nice to have, but a need to have. It's like that shift. It's happening, right? People are struggling. Oh, what do I need a bot for? Right now, it's a nice to have, not a need to have. Eventually, I guess it's going to be a need to have. I mean, I don't know how you feel. Bots and the intelligent intranet were my number one. I didn't get to number 2 yet. So, but yeah, so that's sort of how I feel. And, I didn't really give a proper introduction. I don't know if you know this, Christian, but I'm a native New Yorker.
Yeah, I think I've heard that about you. Yes.
All right, but what a lot of people don't know, well, they do know. A lot of people think that I'm actually from Chicago because I'm a big Cubs guy as well. Besides, of course, my beloved Yankees. I always say, who needs the game more? And again, the NFL season is upon us, and we're not going to talk too much about football during this interview, but Bears and Giants for me, and I admit both of those. New York Giants, football Giants, of course, Chicago Bears, and I'm pulling for the beloved Cubs as well. But a lot of your viewers and listeners might not realize that I actually did make a move to the best coast, and it just so happens. All right. Truth be told,
so great that you're able to join the state of California during its decline. Awesome, good for you.
I know, right? I'm like,
I'm born and raised, so I can. Right. I left.
Everyone living here, it's really expensive. The taxes are out of control. Yeah, I guess they call it the sunshine tax, but I don't know. You know, it is nice living on the beach, but you know, there's definitely a price to pay for it.
Yeah, there's like I said, I was born in Oakland, raised in the Bay Area. We left California in 2004. I love knowing where stuff is. I love going back and visiting. I mean, I certain areas, like I love Tahoe. I lived up by Tahoe for several years. I'm a Sierra Nevada guy, you know, and I've been all over. I've summited Mount Whitney twice. And as I say to my wife, I said, I would never go back. It's nice to visit. I will never live there again.
Yeah, that's how I feel about New York City. I would definitely live in Chicago, maybe again. I don't know. You know, once you get through this weather, I mean, this is how I go to work every day.
Yeah. It's hard to go backwards to even it was the beautiful places. Again, it's nice to go and visit. I know where stuff is. That's good enough for me. But then I'm quickly reminded of why I left. You know, so. But so what's the third thing? So the third thing?
So number 2 is, you know, it's turning from a nice have to a need to have search, right?
Yeah.
As a consultant, right, Christian, we talk to clients every day, and the number one pain point is search, but it's also the number one thing that they don't do anything about. Even talking about governance plans, right? I ask Fortune 100 companies if they have any sort of governance around their internal, you know, collaboration. And the answer is usually, you know what, it's been on the drawing board. And I'm like, you know, it's just one of those things that it's not the sexiest thing to talk about, but it's one of those things that once you have it in place, especially for certain organizations, it changes the face of the organization. So having a great search experience, if you're in IT, you're just like, you know, just keep on looking. But if you're on the business side, you're like, you know what, wouldn't it be nice if the first thing you were searching for came up number 1? Well, you know, search really transforms organizations, and as new employees come into the organization and they have a fabulous search experience, it really changes their outlook on the company.
Well, that's always been the problem with knowledge management. It's not whether everybody knows how to upload a document into a SharePoint portal. The problem is getting the right information at the right time out. And if your system cannot it doesn't work if you're not fine-tuning findability of that content. It doesn't matter how much it stores. Its storage is cheap. You really need to have that search work. Now, that's kind of a blend with your first topic, you know, because AI is really driving a lot of the search-based features. And isn't AI just supposed to solve for search? Is it just out of the box? It's just supposed to work?
You know, as more and more companies are experimenting with that, and again, everything is leading to my number one thing that I've been talking about, this intelligent intranet. And the intelligent intranet is really driven by machine learning. I remember Naomi was talking about machine learning like 5 years ago, and I thought, is this really going to take off? And of course, it's like, you know, upon us. Everywhere we go, everything I do is machine learned, right? Everything you do. And then, you know, adding that sort of chat bot, artificial intelligence. At the end of the day, isn't it to make our lives easier? But sometimes isn't it nicer to go back to that 3-ring binder and just, when it's indexed properly, and just go back and just read it there?
Yeah, it's, you know, it's funny. I was just writing about, you know, how, you know, when Teams launched, and everybody complained about as the number of teams and channels proliferated, and they'd say, I want to be able to archive things. Most of what they were talking about when people said archive, that's a legitimate request and there's complexity there. But they were really talking about cleaning up the navigation. One of the more recent features that Microsoft did in Teams was that AI-based, if you're not accessing a team very often it disappears from your navigation. Now you can manually go in and favorite or unfavorite. They're not gone. You're still part of it. But they also changed it so the My Teams view of the most active, where you're being asked to do things, then show up within that navigation. Here's my complaint about that. I thought those are great, because even with my small organization and all of the the multi-tenants that I go into, being able to have that blended view across those guest access, across those tenants, have them roll up in that navigation. If I'm not accessing something very frequently, like I have my accounting team for my project management of my clients, it disappears from my view because I'm not in there every day. It's annoying. I want to be able to pin stuff. So I want the automation unless I don't want it.
Exactly. Well said. Well said. And I feel the exact same thing about Teams. I think that most people that use it as much as we do on a day-to-day basis, they feel the same way. I know I feel the same way. Teams is an integral part of this future intranet, intelligent intranet, future workplace, digital workplace.
Spit out some more. Come on, we have some more words for it.
Yeah, I don't know. There are a lot. I mean, if you look, I mean, from what I understand, the SharePoint architect may be a thing of the past in the near future.
Well, but it was always moving towards that broader, Office 365 administrator, and maybe it's an Office 365 architect, where you can't any longer, some organizations, sure, there's still plenty to do just around SharePoint. But most organizations, the small to mid-sized organizations, you have an admin that owns all of that, and Exchange Online, and everything else, Teams, and all the other workloads. And so you need somebody that's able to move between those things. And that's why you have, like, I was just looking at some of the new courses out on Pluralsight that are broadly focused across that tenant. So it's that tenant admin. It's kind of superseding the individual workload admins.
Yes.
Agreed. Right. Thank you.
Yes. Yes.
Well, it's interesting around all this stuff, and kind of back to the first topic around stream and the importance of video, and it plays into both those things. I mean, one of the kind of going back to that. Well, actually, so I'll bring up one other person, another fellow MVP. So Paul Colmsey, out of Perth, Australia. For those that don't know Paul, he's done tremendous. He has a now it slipped my mind, his blog, cleverworkarounds.com. Definitely go take a look at that. But he's written for years about information architecture, and so he actually had a product that's open source now called Glimma that integrated with SharePoint. And one of the things that he would do is that he provided these cool little tools that you could go out and find video, like have it out on YouTube or Vimeo, or host it on your server or wherever it is. And if it were updated, it would have stream in there as well. But that you could go in there and attach tags and make artifacts, like a 2-minute segment in the middle of an hour-long video, and then make that 2-minute segment as searchable asset within your database. So you can start building out a repository as you go and find relevant content, third-party content that's sitting out on YouTube, but you can make it searchable within your knowledge base inside your intranet on that 2-minute clip with individual tags. And you could have 10 2-minute clips out of that same hour-long video and have them all tagged and accessible, findable in different ways. But that's a great example of, that's a very manual way of going and tagging those things, but which with Stream, because when you capture the video and it automatically does the transcription and can do automatic translation of that, and then you're not then limited to search within video based on the just the metadata or the naming of that file, but you can actually search based off the context of the discussion in the video and then find those results. That is finally making video a knowledge asset in an organization.
That's definitely, I mean, that's a big part of what the Stream sort of selling point is. I mean, it's still not a mature product, but I like the direction that I've been seeing from the team.
Have you tried playing with the live stuff yet, the Stream Live?
I have not. I was using a different product for webcasting,
You can
that
name products on here. We could talk about stuff.
no, not today. Just
Yeah.
say another product that was a leader in the Gartner quadrant. Um, and it introduced me to what can be and what world class is. I mean, I do believe that Stream will be world class, just like I believe Teams will be world class. I mean, right now, I mean, I'm a fan of Zoom big time, because if you don't have Teams, like we could have done this meeting on Teams just as easily. Zoom just seems a little bit lighter.
Yeah, it's and one of the reasons, and just so everybody's aware, and I use Zoom. I have an annual license. I do things because I do webinars, and so I can't do that with yet with Teams. That's the main reason why I will switch over to using Teams when I have that capability, and it just works. I have it plugged into my Calendly app, which I pay for as well, so that you would go and book this 30-minute, 40-minute, session to record this, and it automatically adds to both of our calendars, sets up Zoom, does all of that. You don't have that yet with Teams and with with Stream, and so
when you had, I'm sure you tried it, that Amy Intranet or Amy AX, that digital assistant that would email people for you to set up meetings. It sounded great. The execution, not so great. When I finally got to the top and was able to use mine,
right.
You don't want to do it with any major clients. With us, it's fine. You don't want to do it with clients.
Well, it's funny. It's like I've got a friend. I know you know him as well, but down in LA, who just absolutely hates the calendar apps. And I'm like, look, I get it. There's a lot of bad tools that are out there. When it's one-on-one, it's really easy. You start adding, 3 or more people into a meeting and coordinating schedules to get that. It's like there's not a great way of doing that other than let's all jump on the phone right now, look at our calendars together. That's the most efficient way of doing it.
I use Find Time,
Yeah, and Find Time is what I use for those multiple people as well. I mean, it's, again, the one-on-one, super easy. There's multiple tools that are out there. This is just the one that, because it integrates with Zoom and with Outlook Exchange, it's fantastic. But yeah, Find Time. Yeah, no worries. And well, just to Jeff, I know that we've got a bunch of events and stuff that are going. You're involved with SharePoint Saturday Los Angeles still?
Yes, SPS LA, SharePoint Saturday Denver. That is October 12th, looking for speakers. And then I'm going to be speaking at KM World in Washington, D.C.
Oh, yeah.
November.
It's been a few years since I've done that, yeah.
Literally, it runs parallel to Ignite. So if I get accepted to Ignite, I'm going to have to figure out scheduling. If not, I'll probably just be a KM World and try not to have too much FOMO. And then I finally pulled the Christian Buckley, and I finally got accepted at European SharePoint Conference. So I'm be going to Prague.
So I'll see you in Prague in December. Excellent.
We got in again.
Yeah, I'm doing Prague, and I'm doing going over to London for a few days as well. So that'll be looking forward to that in December. Awesome. But so Jeff, I know, and one other thing I just want to clarify for the world out there, for the people that are misinformed and believe that I'm somehow the king of selfies, Jeff is the actual king of selfies, sir.
Oh my gosh, I'm glad we got this recorded. And you are way too humble, because let me tell you something. No one's got that face like you do. You make some amazing faces.
I hope not. My clones, I mark them up pretty.
No, you're terrific at it. I always tell people, pretend you're on a roller coaster and you're going down. You're like,
I'll have to use the theory. But people want to find out more about you, get in touch with you. What's the best ways that they can reach you?
Gosh, my favorite is text message, 312-622-2300. I'll only say that.
That is a first. Somebody giving out their cell phone number. Wow.
312-622-2300. I'm a big LinkedIn guy. Jeff Willinger, Jay Willie, tweet at me. I don't read a ton of DMs. Or email. Good. I do love email.
Yeah. Well, hey, now that you're closer, you got to come and do we're not doing SharePoint Saturday here in Utah next year. It's the first weekend in February. We're doing Friday 365.
Ooh, I think I was there last year for that.
Yeah, so we'll have to. Oh, that's right. That's right. You were out here. So yeah, we're just doing Friday. So the whole thing, the event at the same location as Saturday, we're gonna be on Friday. So it should be bigger and.
I'll be there.
So
Well, I'll submit when it's time.
we'll submit. We'll see.
Cool.
So, yeah. Anyway, well, thanks a lot for joining, Jeff. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Christian.